I used to believe that marriage meant partnership, that family didn't just mean blood, but whoever stood beside you when things got hard. I was wrong about a lot of things, but I learned something valuable. When people try to manipulate you with votes and pressure, sometimes the smartest move is to come prepared with your own paperwork. This happened last year, and it's still fresh. I'm a surgical nurse living in upstate New York, married for 8 years to a man named Brian. His family is the kind that does Sunday dinners at mom's house religiously. Lots of expectations, lots of opinions, lots of unspoken rules. I didn't grow up like that, but I made the effort. I showed up, I smiled, I brought casseroles, I played nice. They never quite accepted me, though. Always polite, but there was this layer of something underneath. Like I was on the outside of an inside joke I'd never be part of. Still, I loved Brian, and I thought love was enough. Then his younger brother Ryan got himself into serious financial trouble. Again, Ryan is one of those guys who always has a plan that never works out. Dropship empire, crypto consultant, luxury car flipping minus, he's tried it all and failed spectacularly every time. The family always brushed it off. He's just figuring it out, they'd say. He's ambitious. Well, this time Ryan took out a huge personal loan and convinced his parents to co-minus sign. Surprise minus, he defaulted, and the bank came knocking. I guess they assumed I'd be the safety net since I work full minus time. I'm good with money, Brian and I don't have kids, and over the years I've been pretty disciplined with our savings. So Ryan shows up at our house one day with this whole sob story about needing $18,000 just for a few months. I told him no. Politely, calmly. I explained that our money was tied up in house repairs and that I wasn't comfortable lending that amount to someone with his track record. He didn't argue. Just nodded, said he understood, and left. I actually felt bad for him for a second. Until 3 days later when I got invited to a family meeting. I walked into Brian's parents' house and everyone was there. Every sibling, every spouse, the parents minus everyone except Ryan, who was conveniently running late. They were all smiling in that overly nice way that makes your skin crawl. Then Brian's dad dropped the bomb. They'd been talking as a family, he said. They were concerned about Ryan. They knew I had the money, and since Ryan's situation affected all of them, they decided to handle it democratically. We're calling a family vote, he announced. Hey, family vote. Like I was some hostile corporate takeover target. I looked at Brian, waiting for him to shut it down. He didn't. He just looked tired. Or maybe scared. Hard to tell. You're serious? I asked. His mom nodded. Yes. Majority rules. That way it's fair. Like this was some courtroom and not my life. I stayed quiet while they voted. Every single person voted yes, modus that Brian and I should lend Ryan the money. Then they all looked at me waiting. Like I was just supposed to agree because they performed some weird cult ritual. I nodded slowly and said, okay. Let's vote on something else now. Confused silence. I reached into my purse and pulled out a manila envelope. Slid it across the table toward Brian. He looked confused. What's this? His dad asked. It's a copy of the quitclaim deed for the house Brian and I live in, I said calmly. The one we fully own. My name is the only one on the title. More silence. I opened the envelope and pulled out a second paper. And here's a notarized prenup amendment I had drawn up last month. Since you all like votes, I thought I'd make sure my assets are clearly separated. Brian, I left a copy on your nightstand last week, just in case. His mother looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. His sister's jaw dropped. His father's face went red. I looked directly at Brian. So, do you want to have another vote? This time about whether we stay married? He didn't answer. The room was dead quiet. That's when Ryan walked in, all casual, like he hadn't just thrown a grenade into my marriage. He flopped into the empty chair with that same smug half-Mino style he always wore. Sorry I'm late, he said, looking around at everyone's faces. What did I miss? I told him no, I said, looking directly at him. He tilted his head. Yeah, and we voted. I smiled. Just a little. Right? And I voted too. With legal documents. That wiped the grin off his face. I could see his brain working, trying to figure out where his backup went. He looked to Brian. Dude, what the hell? You're just going to let her do this? Let her embarrass us like this? Us, that one word made something snap inside me. Like I wasn't a person anymore, just some outside enemy threatening their little kingdom. Brian's dad slammed his fist on the table. This is not how family works. You don't bring lawyers into a family matter. I leaned forward. You made it a business transaction when you voted like a boardroom. You treated me like a bank account. I responded in kind. That's when the second twist dropped. Brian's sister Morgan, who'd been quiet through all of this, spoke up. You know what? I'm tired of pretending to. Everyone turned to her. I lent Ryan money last year. $10,000. Never saw it again. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want to cause drama. But watching you all corner her like this, I'm done staying silent. The silence was deafening. Ryan went pale. What are you talking about? Morgan laughed minus a hollow, bitter sound. You promised to pay me back within 6 months. Said you were flipping a Tesla and needed cash fast. You ghosted me after I wired it. She's lying, Ryan said, looking to his mom desperately. But something had shifted in the room. Like a fog lifting. That's when Brian's youngest brother Jason jumped in. I thought I was the only one. I gave him $5,000 on my credit card. Said he needed it for a course. That was 2 years ago. Suddenly it was like a dam broke. One by one, people started speaking up. A cousin, an uncle. Even Brian's mom looked like her stomach had dropped. Ryan had been leeching off everyone, bit by bit. Always with a promise, always with a lie. I just sat there silent, watching it all crumble. Ryan tried to yell over them. This is bullshit. You're all just trying to make me look bad. I leaned back in my chair. You didn't need help with that. He turned to Brian, panicked no. Say something, man. Brian finally looked at me. And all he said was, when did you get the prenup changed? There it was. Not I'm sorry. Not let's go home and talk. Not even you were right. Just that. I stared at him for a long time, my throat tight. Not from sadness minus just exhaustion. About 6 weeks ago, I said. Right after Ryan's last opportunity came up. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Brian stood up like he was going to follow me. I held up a hand. Don't. And I left. But the story didn't end there. Later that night, I got a message from Morgan. She wanted to talk. What she told me changed everything I thought I knew about Brian's family minus and about my marriage. We met the next afternoon at a coffee shop. Morgan looked tense, but there was a weird calm in her eyes. I don't know how to say this without making it worse, she started, but I've been waiting for someone to finally see through Ryan. And maybe Brian too. That last part hit me in the chest. She took a breath. Ryan's been a parasite for years. But Brian's dealt just a bystander. Then she said something that made my stomach turn. You know that crypto thing Ryan did last year? The one that blew up and left him broke? Brian wasn't a victim of it? They did it together. I stared at her, no words coming. She pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots minus messages, emails, even a payment trail. Brian wasn't just aware of Ryan's disasters. He was in them. Helping, covering, even transferring money between his and Ryan's accounts. I felt the room tilt. He told me not to say anything, Morgan said, quietly. Said it would just make things worse. And he promised to make it right. I believed him. But now I see he was protecting himself. I whispered he used our savings. She looked at me, didn't answer. She didn't have to. I suddenly remembered something. 3 months ago, I'd noticed a big withdrawal from one of our accounts. Brian said it was for emergency house repairs. He even showed me a fake invoice. I believed him. I felt sick. Why are you telling me now? I asked. She hesitated. Because I found out something else. Brian and Ryan went to your parents last month. Tried to borrow from them too. They told your parents you were thinking of investing in Ryan's new business. Wanted to get them in before it launched. Your mom called me after you left last night worried. I couldn't breathe for a second. They went behind my back. Used my name. Used my reputation to trick my own parents. I know you're angry, Morgan said, grabbing my arm. But if you're going to do anything, be smart. Be one step ahead. I'll hope. She smiled minus not in a happy way, but tired and sharp. I've been documenting everything for years. Bank records, texts, emails, screenshots. You want to make a clean break? You'll need receipts. That was the moment the numbness cracked. Something in me snapped into place. I wasn't going to let them play me anymore. Send me everything, I said. And she did. By the end of the week, I had enough evidence to bury them financially, emotionally, and legally if I wanted to. But as I dug deeper, I found more. Brian had applied for 2 credit cards in my name minus, never used them. Just had them sitting there. Probably waiting for the next big idea. A week later, Brian's mom invited us all to another Sunday dinner. Same house, same table. This time, I said yes. I had one goal minus, I wanted them all in one place. When we arrived, the atmosphere was fake friendly. Forced smiles, tense laughter. They thought the storm had passed. Rian wasn't there minus running late again. Fitting. I waited until the food was served, drinks poured, and everyone was comfortable. Then I stood up. I think it's time for one more vote, I said. They froze. I pulled out a small stack of papers from my bag. I didn't drop them dramatically or raise my voice. I just laid them on the table one by one. This, I said, pointing, is proof of a joint bank account between Brian and Ryan. Opened 3 years ago. Transferred nearly $60,000 total. Most of it from our accounts, some from loans. Brian's mom opened her mouth. I held up my hand. This, I said, tapping another page, is a forged invoice Brian gave me 3 months ago. Said it was for a roofing contractor. The company doesn't exist. Silence. And this, I held up the last page, is a copy of an email sent to my parents using my name, promising them equity in Ryan's fake startup. Brian, you keyed yourself. His face drained of color. I thought Ryan was the only con artist, I said, turning to Brian. But you're just better at hiding it. You knew I'd never say yes, so you worked around me. Used me. Morgan spoke up from the far end of the table. It is true. I've got copies of the messages too. Brian asked me to cover for him when he took the money. Told me he'd handle it before she noticed. Brian finally stood, angry now. What do you want from me? Huh? I was trying to fix things. Ryan was in over his head. You never think I cut him off. You scheme. You lie. You protect him because he knows your secrets. That's why you never defended me, isn't it? He looked at me, and for the first time in this entire mess, he looked guilty. What does Ryan have on you, Brian? Silence. He blinked, swallowed, then muttered, It's not like that. Then what's it like? He looked around the table, then at his dad, then at Morgan. Then he broke. He covered for me. Years ago. When I got into legal trouble with a job. Falsified reports. I could have gone to jail. He took the blame. I owed him. Dead quiet. Brian's dad spoke, soft but furious. You lied to us. To her. You used your wife to cover a debt you should have paid with honesty. Brian looked down. I didn't know what else to do. She always had control over the money. I just needed a way to fix it before she noticed. There it was. That word again. Control. He thought of me as the one with the money, the power, the gatekeeper. Not a partner. Just a tool. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just reached into my purse one final time. One last paper mine as a folded document. I placed it in front of him. He stared at it. Opened it. His face crumbled. It was a divorce petition. Already signed on my end. Majority rules, right? I said quietly. Well, I vote to leave. Then I turned and walked out. Nobody stopped me. Not even his mother. I stayed in a hotel that night. 3 hours later, Morgan texted me. He left. No one said goodbye. The fallout hit fast. Brian tried calling, left me a voicemail crying. Said he was lost, said he didn't know how things got so bad, said we could rebuild. I didn't answer. 2 days later, I served the papers officially. Turns out the prenup update and documentation saved me more than just money minus, it saved me years of dragging out a divorce. Morgan kept helping. She actually decided to take legal action against Ryan for the unpaid loan. Ryan vanished for a bit, deleted his socials. Rumors say he's living in New Jersey now, working under a fake LLC. Brian moved back in with his parents. The family dinner stopped. I wish I could say I walked away clean. I didn't. There were nights I cried myself sick, nights I questioned everything. 8 years with someone who looked me in the eye and still chose lies over truth. It haunts you. But now I sleep peacefully. For the first time in years. And if there's one thing I learned, it's this: when someone says majority rules, remember that you don't need a vote to leave a burning house. You just need the courage to walk out the door. And I did.